So I think I'm gonna go with thirst trap because after all that we've done in comedy, that's what we're known for now. The sex comedy show that we started during lockdown. Let me tell her one. Let me tell her. So
Sure.
Andy Regu suggested Sasti Masti Nights.
It was, I think we exceeded expectations and also kind of met them. For
Yes.
for for those who were coming for sex, we met them. For those who were coming for comedy, we exceeded them. This is a very tricky question, Shrirupa, because I'm essentially gonna tell you how long I've been in the scene, but I haven't been famous. It's kind of a mixed bag. I think more people are watching comedy, but is the quality of comedy getting better? I think the answer is both yes and no. There is a question mark there. What a sad way to end with three comedians. It is what it is.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Green Room Chat by the Entertainment Factory. This is your host Shrirupa Sengupta, and today I have two amazing guests. I have Kajol and Abbas with me, and the more we get to know them, the more funny they turn out to be. So that's my promise to you, and let's talk to them about all of this. Hi Kajol, hi Abbas. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Hi Shrirupa. Lovely to see you.
Hello, our pleasure.
So cool. All right. So very quickly, tell us one thing that has been the biggest heartbeat of your journey so far in comedy. Okay. So Kajol, you go first, and then Abbas, let's hear from you.
Okay. So I think I'm gonna go with thirst trap because after all that we've done in comedy, that's what we're known for now. The sex comedy show that we started during lockdown. Abbas and I.
Okay. And Abbas, what's your perspective there?
What was the question? Heartbeat of your journey.
Heartbeat of your journey. I get very poetic sometimes. Okay, just deal with it.
Wow. Thirst trap definitely, and I don't know. I would say heartbeat of my journey has been that every time before a show, I still feel the excitement like I did the very first time before going on stage. So I always look forward to that, if that makes sense.
I think that's a lovely thing to
Are
look
we
for.
supposed to be giving these answers on a podcast or LinkedIn? I mean, did Abbas, did Abbas get the brief right?
I think this podcast can also go on LinkedIn. And then Abbas
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like, this is
Since my actual LinkedIn is defunct, I need to use other avenues to use as LinkedIn.
so now you actually have an impetus to kind of get your
Exactly.
LinkedIn back.
Impetus. Yes, now we are talking LinkedIn terms.
Yes. All right. So now that we have already started speaking about thirst trap, let's hear more about it. So during lockdown, both of you got together in your respective houses and decided to do thirst trap. So tell me how that happened. What is thirst trap? Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. So during lockdown, I started doing international mics, and I tanked miserably for the first 4 times. And then I got invited to a blue mic, which is basically a sex mic. Okay. And I did great because
Priorities.
so, so I thought, why not hold a blue mic in India? And then I messaged Abbas and said, shall we do this? And he suggested the name Thirst Trap. And that's how we started.
Yeah,
So Abbas,
mind
what's
you,
your version of the
I
story?
mean, Kajol makes it sound like I was like some brilliant copywriter who was like the name Thirst Trap. No, we had like I think some 5 or 6 very miserable, dirty, double meaning sounding names before we landed on Thirst Trap. But
Let me
yeah,
let me let me tell her one. Let me tell her. So
sure.
Andy Regu suggested Sasti Masti Nights. Okay.
Yes, that's where we started, and then we landed up with Thirst Trap. Uh, No, yeah, I think I remember it slightly differently. Kajol had started doing Insta lives during the lockdown, and I used to join these Insta lives. And I think on one of these, I mean, Zoom shows were still very new. So I think just as a casual conversation on the Insta live, Kajol just came up with the idea. Let's do a sex comedy show, and I was like, yeah, let's go ahead with it. And then that night, Kajol messaged me like, "Who do you think will be ideal for the lineup?" And I suggested a few names. And in my head, it was like, "Yeah, okay, we'll put together a show, and then it'll be one and done. Like we'll do it one Zoom mic, and it'll be over." But then we got some, I think, what, Kajol, 95 people who turned up for the Zoom
Yeah,
show, the first one.
this was our first Zoom show ever. And I asked Gia, I said, how many people should I accommodate? Like, will about 50 people turn up? She's like, 50 is a lot for a Zoom show.
Yeah.
And then when we opened up the room that night, the numbers kept climbing. It was amazing.
The numbers kept climbing. Everybody did well. The vibe of the show was really great. And it's only later that at least it dawned on me that a lot of these people had come. They saw the name Thirst Trap. They saw sex comedy, and they tuned in thinking, I don't know, orgasm sounds or live orgy or I don't know what. But they tuned in for that. But they actually got a really cool, nice, fun comedy show. So we realized that we should do another one. And then every subsequent thirst trap, we just kept the momentum going, and the audience kept increasing. Actually, for the first few ones, they were we kept hitting around 100, and then we realized we have 100 because the Zoom room only allows 100 people. So if we allow more people will come, and that's what happened. So yeah, so that was it was very. It was. I think we exceeded expectations and also kind of met them.
Yes.
For those who were coming for sex, we met them. For those who were coming for comedy, we exceeded them, or vice versa.
So, and Thirst Trap, so now is here to stay.
Well, we're currently on a break. When the third wave comes, it will restart. But
We're recording this in October of 2021, and yeah, so far at present it's on a small hiatus, but we'll see what happens in the future.
because see, the thing is, right now we are also out doing gigs, and everyone's out. They're just dying to get out, so no one's going to come. I'm getting messages from few people, but they are like, the cities where there's not much comedy happening. So lockdown is a real bonus for them because they got to see all the comedy happening. So let's see how things go.
And Thirst Trap is actually not the first show that you have co-created. You also had A to Z India, right?
Oh, no. So that is the second show. We did that for the Edinburgh Fringe. And unfortunately, we started doing that about 1.5 years into Thirst Trap. So we had two shows. We had Thirst Trap and we had Give Me Your Worst Show, which is a cringe comedy show. Okay. So after 1.5 years of doing both of that, we reached the Edinburgh Fringe with sex jokes and bad jokes. Okay, that's just
what an outing.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think both me and Kajol realized that when we started writing new materials, our jokes were either falling in the dirty category or the cringe category. So
sometimes there was no reason for the dirt. Like Abbas would be like, and then I said, "Would you like a condom with that?" I was like, "Why? Why did you say this?"
well, now that Kajol has mentioned it, just day before yesterday, okay, I was doing a live comedy open mic. I was hosting it, and the open micer that went before me, he put the mic back into the mic stand, and a bit of the mic was out. So I went back on stage. I put the mic back in, and for no reason, I was like, "Guys, you have to put it in real nice, all right?" And people laughed at that. So I'm like, "Oh my god, this is my life. I just have to say something with a double meaning in a mischievous way, and it works."
All right, you have arrived.
Yeah,
Yes.
kind of.
We've come. Let's put it that way.
I like not to use that, but thank you, Kajol.
So to answer your question, A to Z was our attempt to sort of also write some the other genuine funny kind of material, which probably isn't cringe and isn't sexual, but is just good old fashioned comedy.
It was a learning experience.
Yeah.
So there's also a huge cultural divide between what Britain finds funny and what we find funny. In fact, in one of the British mics, there was a guy who got upset with the material I was doing. It was not even very sexual, but he was like, "This is inappropriate, and I'm leaving the room and stuff." And when I asked the organizers, I said, "Did I upset someone?" Then I don't mind him. He says that to everyone. Instead of calling him an asshole, they told me he's very special. They're very polite.
Oh dear. All right. So, so tell me something. Both of you have also like you've been in the comedy scene for almost, I think, more than 5 years, right? I mean,
5 years for me and Abbas.
This is a very tricky question, Shrirupa, because I'm essentially going to tell you how long I've been in the scene, but I haven't been famous. So it just ages me in more ways than one. But yeah, I went up on stage for the very first time in 2013. So, but I consider myself as like properly started doing comedy around 2015. So still 6 years. Yeah.
yeah, so around 5 or 6 years, and you've seen the comedy scene evolve. Like even with my journey, right? I've seen the comedy scene change and evolve. And like Abbas is already laughing. What evolved?
Yeah. We'll come to that.
So how has that perspective been? Like you've not only just had like a ringside seat, but you've also been part of the way that the comedy scene has changed in many ways, right, over the years.
Yeah.
So
That's a very vast question. I'll try and summarize it as much as I can. See, I think, and let's be honest, I have mostly done stand-up comedy in English in major cities in India. I haven't performed in the smaller cities. So the one big sort of change that has come, of course, is the online presence of comedians. Right? When I went up on stage for the first time in 2013, English stand-up was still a domain of certain select venues in Bombay because I am from Bombay. So you had the Comedy Store, which was in Lower Parel. You had NCPA. You had a few other places scattered here and there, and you would have to work hard to get a chance to perform in these places. I think somewhere around 2014, 2015, YouTube totally changed the game because all you had to do was record yourself, put it online, and then if your video took off, then people would approach you on their own. So I think content wise, there is a lot more demand for colloquial stuff now. Hindi comedy has kind of taken off in a huge way. At the same time, I mean, ideally from 2013 till now, we should have had more venues, more avenues to perform comedy. I don't think that has happened. And it's kind of a mixed bag. I think more people are watching comedy, but is the quality of comedy getting better? I think the answer is both yes and no. There is a question mark there, and certain instances have happened in the last 4 5 years which have put comedy in the spotlight, which have not been a positive light. But I think it's a very precarious position we're in now. A lot of people are watching comedy and they support comedy, but I think it still needs a big push, and the quality of humor that is coming out, personally for me, I think needs to improve a little. Thanks for coming to my TED talk, guys.
Kajol, what do you think?
Okay. Now please note that you are getting this the sound bites from two comedians who are not viral. Okay.
Yes, yes.
It's colored with a certain amount of bitterness. Uh, I don't know about evolution in terms of content because I think we're still laughing at the same things. What I don't like about the current scenario is that they forced comedians to become content creators and they're acting their heads off for reels every day. That's it doesn't have to be done. I'm just saying that comedy has moved far beyond the stand-up comedy and it's gone into like anything, anything goes now. Slipping on a banana peel can make a reel. So I'm sorry, that rhymed. It should not have rhymed, but it did.
If you put that on a real, Kajol, all I'm saying.
So yes. So I'll tell you something. When I joined comedy, one of my first open mics was at Three Wise Monkeys, which was Puneet Panya's venue. Lovely bar gig. And when I finished my offering of political and English comedy, Puneet turned to me and said, "Do you speak Hindi at all?" I said, "Little, but I don't do it on stage." He's like, "Then I think you should leave comedy because it's not going to go anywhere."
Whoa.
And I met Puneet last month, and I said, I remember, I said, at that when you told me that, I thought you were a massive asshole, but you're right. Okay, so after performing in British mics, where I thought my English was amazing and all of that, I realized I can either compromise on my content or the language. Yeah, and it makes more sense to introduce Hindi into my set rather than try and impress foreigners with. See, the thing about foreign mics is they expect you to speak about very limited topics like how poor we are, how oppressed we are, and stuff like that. They don't really want us to talk about more stuff. It's a very difficult road getting it through. So yes, the comedy scene has not evolved. We must evolve, is what I need to say.
No, that's a very interesting perspective, and I think the stereotypes that come with being an Indian stand-up comedian, I think that must kind of weigh pretty heavy on everybody who is trying to expand into the scene outside India. And
It's
no,
the same for anyone who's non British or non American, like fully non British. Colors, women always will face a little backlash. So it's world over.
Can I ask a counter question, Shrirupa? You've also been doing comedy for a while. What's your opinion on how things have changed or not changed?
I think this is a very interesting question, Abbas. So when I joined, like when I entered the comedy scene in Bangalore, at that point of time, I was the only woman there.
Right.
Punya was on a break at that
Uh,
point in time. Punya came back a few months after I kind of became active, and I'm from Calcutta. All right, let's just put that in perspective. I'm from Calcutta.
right.
I've had a very privileged upbringing. I am a development sector. I work in the development sector in public health. I had never faced any sort of situation where gender was upfront, right? Where
Right.
there was any like like I've seen inequity. I've worked towards equity, and I think Kajol, you have also been working on women's issues with the U.S. consulate, right? So
Yeah.
um, and when you are from a work when you're looking at it from a working point of view, you're looking at it from this is a problem, it has to be solved. You have a certain sense of objective view about it, and subjectively it hit me then,
Mhm.
and by God, it was difficult. And I remember this one situation where I won the MICF Raw Open Mic. It was a competition, the Melbourne International Comedy Festival,
Right. Correct. Yeah.
and I was the Bangalore finalist at that point in time. And everyone hated me for it. And it was like my first open mic, and I got to hear shit like, "Oh, she won because she's a woman,"
Mm.
and broke my heart. And I think that is something that set me back, and I completely shut down myself. And I only came back into comedy, which is the reason why I was smiling up, Buzz, when you said that, you said that I started doing it seriously after a point.
Correct.
Same here. It was only, I think, after 2016,
Mm.
17 that I was like, you know what? I mean, this is what gives me joy. So I'm going to do it anyway. It's my life. And I'll find
Do,
different
do you
avenues to do
do
it.
you think in 2021 things have changed since then at all? Do you think today if you won the MICF, the reaction would be the same?
I don't think so. I'll tell you why. Um, by the time that we entered into by the time I came back into the scene in
Right.
2016, 17, like I was still in the scene, but I was like maintaining a very low profile and I was just doing my own thing on the side.
Right.
When I came back in, one was, of course, there were a lot more women in comedy by then. Lot more, right? The second thing that happened was there were many, at least in Bangalore, and I don't know about the Mumbai scene at all. At least in Bangalore, there were other alternate avenues of doing comedy.
Mhm.
So, for example, you could actually tie up with an event agency. You could tie up with a corporate. You could by then the internet, the social media avenues became a big thing. So you could have an independent comedy career, not depending on the scene as we call it. And
Right.
for me, that has been an evolution because anybody starting out now, even kids, and I call them kids because I think I'm very old, even the kids who start out, right? Like the 20, 21-year-olds who start out, they can put up their own gig and their own show and do their own thing and find their own platform, their own voice. Even use something like MX Takatak, I think it's called. So and find that space. And I think for me, that to a great extent is evolution. I'm not talking about intellectual evolution. I'm not talking about the depth of comedy, but I'm talking about
Right.
just space, that right to be,
Mm,
the right to be in your own space and do your own thing. I
mm,
think that's something that is afforded now. It wasn't there when I started. I started in
right.
2014, September. That wasn't there then.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Shrirupa, your TED talk was better than mine, I have to say.
Thank you. I think we will.
Before
We'll
you move on to the next question, can I try and adjust my lighting if you don't mind?
yes,
Because
sure. If
now
you want,
even I can't see myself. So you can ask the question till I try and fix the thing in a few seconds.
yeah, and you can also get a candle if you want. Meanwhile, so just to kind of add to the feel, and then maybe we can release it during Diwali. That would be hilarious. So, so yeah. So Kajol, since it's you and me, let's talk.
Bolo.
হ্যাঁ বলছি দাঁড়াও so it's been for you. You've worked on a lot of like different things, right? Like I just mentioned about the fact that you did work on women's issues with the US consulate. You are a graphic designer. You
Yeah.
worked in advertising. You do a
Yeah.
bunch of other things other than comedy as well, and some of it, I think most of it is in the creative field, right? How does it all come together in your head? As in, do you
Okay.
find it leaking into each other, or is it something that you?
So I've always written. My dad was a copywriter, so I always express myself writing. I used to I mean, poetry and stuff. And I
What?
should draw. Yeah, yeah. I
Are you
did poetry, Abbas. I did
waiting?
poetry.
You're doing thirst trap and you
Wait,
didn't know this.
I
Okay.
did not know this. See, thirst trap poetry is all Andy Regu. He writes dirty shairi that he picks up from WhatsApp. But the scorn with which you talk about poetry open mics, Kajol, I did not expect you to have been a poet, but sure.
I wrote better poetry. Okay. No, I'm kidding. But the thing is, I've always been drawing or writing. So graphic design and comedy come under the same thing. And graphic design is what I need to finance myself because, as I mentioned earlier, we're not really getting paid from our ventures too much. Yes, that is it.
I did read that story about your dad and the resignation on the ticket. I think for our listeners and our viewers, please go and follow Kajol. Not don't follow her home, but just follow her social media. It's a bank of hilarious stories.
Thank you.
So do check that out. So Abbas, coming to you, you have been a journalist. There is
Have I?
production that you work.
Okay.
Yeah, even I'm surprised. You have?
Yes,
You did a
I do
journal?
my homework, ladies. We do our homework at the Entertainment Factory. We do our homework. So you've been a journalist at Rolling Stone, nonetheless,
Correct.
and you're also the head of production right now somewhere, right?
I was the head of production at IVM Podcasts and at Made in India. Your research is a little out of date, which I don't blame you because the Made in India gig only ended about I think 2 weeks ago. So as of now, I'm head of production of nothing.
Of
I'm
your
not
own life.
producing.
You're
Yes,
only
not even
producing
my
your
own
own
life.
life. Yes, you're
But
producing
yes,
your own life.
I have worked as head of production for two organizations. Yes.
And at some point, you had something to do with a medical degree.
Oh my God. Not a
So,
medical degree, a dental degree.
all right.
I did have something to do with it. That something never reached its conclusion. I I was studying dentistry in the mid 2000s in Bangalore, and I dropped out halfway through. Never went through it because I come from a family of doctors, and I was pushed into it by my father. But midway through it, I started writing humor articles for Jam magazine, if you remember that. And yeah, never completed the course.
So writing is your first love?
You can say that, yeah. Food
And
is my first love, but writing comes close.
thank God you're not are you a food blogger as well?
Not yet.
I'm sorry, that's just one vocation that I don't understand. I will at some point. I will evolve into understanding it. I still
Of
have it.
course, yes.
So how does all of this come together into your life right now? Is your life right now only about comedy, or is production something that is
No, so I think it's the other way around. I mean, the way a lot of people think is that for a comedian, comedy informs everything else in his or her life. I think it's the other way around. Everything else in their life feeds into their comedy. So I love reading books. I like watching movies. I've always loved keeping up with the news, finding trivia online, all of that stuff, right? And there's only so much of that you can do in comedy. If I like some obscure Japanese film and I go on stage and make jokes about it, nobody will get it, right? So I think all of that knowledge, all of that information has to go somewhere. And if I can find something which helps me put this absolutely useless information and knowledge into something else, that's always helpful. So yeah, podcasting, in fact, I took the podcasting gig also for the same reason that Kajol mentioned, is because I was freelancing and I was doing comedy, trying to do comedy full time around 2016. And with freelancing, as you know, 1 month you might make some good money, but the next 2 months you might have nothing. So it was getting to a point where I needed some stable income. So I gave an interview at IVM to for a podcast producer. Luckily, I got that job and I started enjoying it. So I stuck with it for the next 3.5 years. And I think I was good at it, which is why I was promoted to the head of production department. But the thing is, the way the shows that I was working on, I realized that interacting with people, interacting with other people who are speaking publicly, who are creating podcasts, who are making I hate saying this term, but creating content or whatever you want to call it, filmmakers, singers, business people, you get exposed to a lot of different people and their points of view, and it kind of informs your comedy. um Even within comedy, I think one should kind of explore all sorts of stuff. Like I did I was part of an improv group as well. I think if it wasn't for improv, I wouldn't have been so good at hosting gigs, because I used to be very sort of particular about my jokes, and if I'd say even one word here and there, it's all downhill. But improv gave me that confidence that if you go on stage with absolutely nothing on your mind, you're still going to do well. So yeah, the Rolling Stone writing gig, that was my dream job. I always wanted to write for Rolling Stone, and when I landed that job, I realized, you know what, it's like just any other journalism job. You go at 9. You know, all these movies paint this picture that if you're a music journalist, you're just gonna be at music festivals and, doing fun things and watching the most cutting edge band. And then you realize that no, in India, the indie music scene is the same 15 people you're gonna keep running into again and again. The musicians are working hard and putting shows, but there's nobody to appreciate it. So you're gonna have to do whatever you can to write about them and make them look good. Not that they're not good, but but yeah. So I think all other experiences inform your comedy. So I would always like to have something going on the side along with comedy. Yeah, because for me, in my head, it's very limited. If you only watch comedy specials, only read humor books, only listen to comedy podcasts, if you according to me, that's not going to make your comedy better.
Stop,
Exposing
stop
us.
taking personal jabs at all the guys in the Bangalore scene, Abbas, please.
Yes, looking at you, Bangalore people.
Hey!
So yeah, expose yourself to all kind of experiences so that your comedy gets better.
Right. So, one last question to both of you, actually. I think both of you have never shied away from talking about politics. And you've been like pretty, I like how Abbas is already grinning. But
Sorry, can't hear you, Shrirupa. I think I lost a connection.
okay, so take the question if you want, leave it if you want, all right? It's completely up to you. But I've always been a little curious about because I really don't have that metal. I also, to a great extent, I think to a great extent, I struggle to understand the motives of certain aspects of how politics works as well. But that's just my personal struggle.
I'm sorry, are you sure you're a Bengali?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
I am. I'm very Bengali, but I kind of get so busy with the thinking part that I don't get to the
Right.
articulation. So I haven't
Oh,
reached
old
there.
school Bengal.
Yeah, I'm very old school. Like I would sit down and think quietly, and then I'm like, but why? What is the logic? But both of you have noticed I've never been like you've never been shy about commenting about what's going on and whatever affects you or whatever kind of makes you feel disturbed. Um, is this something that takes a lot of bravery, or is it like part of your own comedy journey?
Kajol.
Abbas's mic already died with that question.
Hi, hello.
No,
That
that's
wasn't on
completely
purpose,
up
I
to you.
swear.
You want to answer, answer. You don't want to answer, drop it and
No,
leave
no,
it.
I'm going to answer.
Edit
I'm
it
going
out.
to answer. Okay.
We'll edit
So,
it out.
so last week I got called a buffalo on Twitter. Okay.
Oh, die then. What the hell?
No, no, it doesn't matter. I made a reel on it today. Okay. The brilliant part is that when Elvis Presley was popular, there was still a huge lot of people who hated him. And they hated him to the extent that they went out and bought badges that said, I hate Elvis Presley.
So
Those
which
badges were
one?
sold by Elvis only. Okay. So that's how negative press on Twitter operates or wherever. It's like finally the person who's putting it out wins, whether it's negative or positive. So politics, yes, it can get you a lot of trolling and stuff, but it doesn't really work in against you. It doesn't. Abbas, do you want to take the question?
Uh, so why do I talk about politics? Is that the question? See, the question, I mean, why is politics on the front page of a newspaper or the top of the headlines, right? Is because politics is what is the most visible thing. The people who run the country are the most obvious people, or the people you should be going after, because it's their job to look after the citizens and keep everything under control, right? And I'm gonna use some really heavy terms, guys. Are you ready for it? Yes. The populace is it's the job of the people to kind of keep them in check, right? And I let me see how should I put this. Since 2014, one whether you like the current dispensation or you don't like the current dispensation, or whatever it is, I think the most common Indian will at least agree that there has been a shift in the ideology and the way of thinking and the sort of things that are getting promoted in
Correct.
at large, right?
Correct.
Now it's and a comedian's job is really to reflect the times that they are living in. So if you don't talk about that, you're doing a disservice to also yourself and the profession that you have chosen, if you want to talk about issues, right? um, I talk about politics because I am a minority in this country. The politics that is played inadvertently affects me. I know I'm an English speaking privileged guy who's lived a life of privilege in a big city like Mumbai. So things that are happening in smaller towns in Uttar Pradesh are not affecting me, but they are, because like I said, gone are the days where, like, I genuinely believe that we are not very far from the day where a mob might show up outside my house, right? Despite all the privilege, all this that I mean, we're recording this in October. Yesterday, Fab India took down a advertising slogan because some politician in Bangalore was like, "It's too Urdu, and Urdu does not reflect our religion." Okay, now think about the copywriter of that particular ad who would have written it. Think about the filmmakers who made those ad films. All of them will be getting threats. Their families will be threatened, and all of that kind of shit, right? And I heard Anubhav Pal say this one, that when you're angry, you can only do two things about it. You can either start breaking stuff, or you can make fun of it. Okay, breaking stuff is too much energy, and I won't be able to replace it. I don't have the money, so I'd rather make jokes about it, right? And like Kajol said, Twitter happens to be a platform where you can vent. Twitter can also be a big mindfuck. I can curse on this, right?
They'll
It's too late
beep,
to ask, but
they'll
yeah.
beep you out. Don't worry.
It can be a big mindfuck, but as long as you just put your tweet out, send your ideas out, and keep the phone aside, I completely like support it full fledged. And yeah, I talk about politics because it affects me, and who will talk about things that aren't things that are affecting me if not me? So it's as simple as that.
That's
I'm not expecting people's ideologies or minds or thoughts to change if they come to a show and see me do a kind of joke. Uh, but one has to express things that make them uncomfortable, and that's how I see it.
I'd like to add something. I also think that there's a fine line between activist and stand-up comedian, and you have to choose to be on one side of it. I choose to be on the stand-up comedian side. Like at the end of it, I'm not an activist. I will take jabs at stuff that I might find funny or might find weird. But at the end of it, I want to be regarded as a person who is a clown. I don't want to give my words too much weight and say, okay, I'm here for the betterment of society. I personally am not.
I think both of you have some very powerful perspective on this. This is not a connected question, but this is something that just came into my mind while both of you were expressing this. Is there something that you would like to change in the comedy scene?
How much time do you have?
Oh wow! Hmm.
You want to go first, Kajol?
No, I don't. Go for
Okay,
it.
I'll see the one thing like I mentioned in the beginning also. I don't think we have enough live performance venues in India. So I think if the culture of live performances was given more more importance, I would like that. I would like people to have the ability to take a freaking joke. Okay, when a comedian goes up and makes a joke, no comedian, whether they've been doing this for 20 years or some person who started yesterday, nobody gets into comedy with the intention of hurting sentiments. Okay, no comedian is like, आज मैं इसका sentiment hurt करूंगा मुझे अच्छा लगेगा. No, comedians get there because they want to do the exact opposite of that. They want to make people make they want to make people feel good about themselves. So if we had a few more venues of live performance available to us, and if this is wishful thinking, but freedom of speech and freedom of expression, especially for comedy, if it was given the kind of importance and force that it deserves, then I think it would be much better.
Okay, I'm gonna bring out a point. I don't know the solution to it, but I'd like things to revert to stand-up being the main focus of stuff rather than having influencers who sell seats being headliners. I don't know. I don't know the solution to this, but I would I would have liked to return to the point where everyone is guaranteed at least 4 spots a month, regardless of wherever they are and whoever they know. And as I said, I don't know the solution to this because technically that is the way it works. People who get in tickets, who get in people coming in, will be the headliners, and yeah.
Yeah, and then how does the art form progress, right? As if that's the way that we take it.
Any entertainment form gets down to this. It finally becomes a monopoly.
Hmm.
Um, it
Yeah.
just is the way it is, I guess.
So,
What a sad way to end with three comedians. It is what it is.
it is what it is, and then we all stare at the setting sun. Okay. All right. Let's. Okay. We'll wrap up. Just one quick comment. What is it that comment from you actually? What is it that we can look forward to from your work? Is there something which is on the cards which we should be like, yes, it's coming, and people should keep an eye
So
on?
yes, so I'm putting out a video, which I would like to tell the 1,000 people who normally see my videos that it is something to really look out for. No, but I'm planning to put out videos every 2 months. That is the goal, and my special is out. I mean, sorry, my special is in trials. So yes, that's it for me.
Yes, go for it. Abbas, let's hear from you.
Nothing upcoming for me. Wherever you see Kajol doing her special, I might be opening for her. So please come for those shows. And follow me on social media. I'm really happy to be doing live shows again. So right now, just looking forward to those. Please come out, support live comedy if you feel safe venturing out and going into crowded places. Take your vaccine and wear your mask and come for shows.
I think that's a great call to action. Thank you so much, Kajol and Abbas. Thank you for spending this time with me and the Entertainment Factory in the Green Room Chat. So this brings us to the end of. Wait
I
one
would
second.
just like to say, guys, I'm wearing a t-shirt. I know it looks like I'm wearing a banyan, but it's not. It's a legit t-shirt. I know the way I framed it makes it look like I'm wearing a banyan, but I didn't
Yes.
know it was going to be video. I
Yes.
thought it was going to be audio only.
Yes. And of course, that would be the issue in everyone's mind.
Hey, you don't know, okay?
This is the point where we ask everyone to like, share, and subscribe. But I don't know how to
Yes,
take
please.
it from the banyan situation to liking, sharing, and subscribing. We will promise you that Abbas is wearing a
A
t-shirt.
shirt, a legit t-shirt with Calvin and Hobbes on them.
All right then. So
Under the t-shirt, I'm not wearing anything.
okay.
This is
So
not thirst trap.
Sorry. Oh, I forgot.
wrong show. But so Kajol and Abbas, would you like to ask everyone to like, share, and subscribe
Yes,
this
please.
Green Room Chat? Go for it.
Yes, please. Please follow me on at @lolrakshak on Twitter and Instagram, and on my YouTube channel because I will be giving a prize to my 2000th follower.
Ooh.
Abbas, let's hear from you.
Yes, please follow me as well on social media. I'm Abbas Momin 88 on Instagram. I'm just Abbas Momin on Twitter. I am Abbas Momin on Facebook as well. So give that little grandfather of a social media site a like as well. And what's the name of your channel? Green Room Comedy.
No. This is great. I'll do that. Don't
Oh
worry,
yes.
I will do that. All right. And please,
This is why I don't plug other people's channels, guys.
don't worry.
Also, I don't have 2,000 followers, but I do have a YouTube channel, and you will find Kajol there as well because we did a bunch of live streams called Thirst Chats. For people who didn't come for the Thirst Trap shows, we did live streams called Thirst Chats, and well, I am planning on bringing back the live stream, so look out for that.
Very cool. All right. So that actually finally brings us to the end of this segment. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a very, very fun chat with Kajol and Abbas. Please remember to follow them, check out their work. I personally am a big fan of both of their work, so I'm sure you're going to enjoy it as well.
We're a fan of you too, Shrirupa.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also, before you leave, please like, share, and subscribe to the Green Room Chat channel. This is the podcast brought to you by the Entertainment Factory, and we would love to have you with us at all times. So this is Shrirupa Sengupta, your host, signing out. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.